When it feels like something is always just out of reach, love, clarity, purpose, the next step, we often assume we must chase it harder, visualize more, heal more, fix more. But what if the missing piece was never something to chase, but something to remember? What if lack itself is a mirage created by the illusion of separation from who you already are? I used to grip tightly to timelines. I'd spiral in the waiting, refreshing the message thread, watching the bank account, asking the universe for signs, and then second-guessing the ones I got. My nervous system was buzzing, but not in alignment, in anxiety. And no matter how many affirmations I whispered through clenched teeth, something felt off. That's because you cannot align with wholeness from the frequency of fragmentation. You cannot call in coherence from a state of contraction. You cannot manifest from fear, only mirror it. The deeper truth: you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. And when you are embodying lack, urgency, or performance, the field echoes back more of the same. But embodiment, true embodiment, is not a performance. It's not acting as if. It's not pretending to be confident, pretending to be abundant, pretending to be healed. It's the quiet reclamation of your natural frequency, the one that was always there beneath the layers of proving and protecting and pleasing. When you embody who you truly are, without distortion, without disguise, the quantum field has nothing left to withhold, because there is no dissonance, no mixed signal, no energetic confusion. It becomes safe to receive because you're no longer split between your essence and your expression. And in that safety, reality softens, time folds, coincidences rush in, the waiting ends, not because the thing arrives, but because you're no longer waiting. What if the only thing missing was the version of you who stopped pretending to be someone else? This is the moment it all shifts, not when the desire comes true, but when you stop making the gap mean something about your worth, when you stop managing the outcome and start magnetizing from your being, when you stop gripping the edges of your life trying to hold it all together, and realize the flow was always waiting for your surrender. Your essence is not something to find, it's something to feel, something to breathe into, something that already lives in the space between your thoughts and the beat of your heart. So I ask you now, what are you still trying to earn that you were born embodying? And who do you become when you stop chasing and start remembering? Say less. Relax deeper. Let the signal of your wholeness speak louder than the noise of your fear. There is a quiet intelligence within your body that already knows who you are. It lives in your breath, in your posture, in the way your heart responds before your mind catches up. This intelligence doesn't speak in language, it speaks in frequency, and while the mind seeks to strategize and secure, this deeper knowing only seeks to resonate, to harmonize, to become. But most of us are trained to override it. From the time we are small, we are taught to measure ourselves by reflection, not resonance. Praise becomes performance. Love becomes earned. Safety becomes conditional. So we begin to edit, to protect, to mask. We leave pieces of ourselves behind in exchange for belonging. We forget how to be seen without armor. We learn to be likable before we ever learn to be whole. And in that forgetting, the body starts to tighten. The nervous system contracts. Not because you are broken, but because you are misaligned with your essence. The frequency of who you are begins to distort under the pressure of who you think you need to be. And the more you try to fix it with force, with effort, with urgency, with control, the more fragmented you feel. You see, the field doesn't respond to words. It responds to vibration. You can say, "I am abundant," over and over, but if your body is holding fear, your reality will mirror fear. You can visualize the dream relationship, but if your cells are still bracing for abandonment, you will vibrate uncertainty. You can write intentions under the full moon, but if you're still outsourcing your power to timing or signs, the signal remains static, because the signal is not your thoughts. The signal is your state. The signal is your safety. The signal is the subtle coherence between what you say, what you feel, and what you are actually embodying. And embodiment begins when you drop the performance, when you stop trying to manifest from your mask, when you stop asking life to reflect back an edited version of you. Embodiment begins when you let the nervous system exhale, when you allow stillness to recalibrate the static, when you no longer need to be seen as powerful to remember that you already are. This is the paradox of manifestation. The more you chase the thing, the more you confirm its absence. The more you grip, the more you interfere. The more you prove, the more you postpone. But when you become the embodiment of your essence, When you settle into the frequency of enoughness, of presence, of coherence, the field organizes around you. Not because you did something, but because you remembered something. You remembered that the magnet is not outside. The magnet is your being. You remembered that you don't need to manipulate reality. You need to stabilize your signal. You remembered that what feels missing is often just the misalignment between your true self and the self you are trying to maintain. So I ask you again, where in your life are you gripping? Where are you waiting to be validated before allowing yourself to become? Where are you confusing urgency for clarity? And what would shift if you began to feel safe in your body before anything changed on the outside? You're not waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for the version of you who no longer believes she has to wait. Let the stillness speak. Let your system soften. Let your essence rise. Because nothing is missing when you are fully here. So much of what we call desire is actually the nervous system's attempt to restore safety. We think we're longing for more money, more love, more clarity. But underneath, what we're really craving is the permission to finally relax, to finally feel safe enough to stop striving, to stop scanning for rejection, to stop bracing for the other shoe to drop. And here's the quantum key we often miss. Your nervous system is the tuning fork of your reality. When it's in fight or flight, the world reflects chaos. When it's frozen, reality feels stuck. But when it begins to cohere, to regulate, to soften, to stabilize, suddenly things click. Not because something changed out there, but because your signal changed in here. You don't manifest by thinking positively. You manifest by feeling safely. Safety is the soil where embodiment roots itself. It's the bridge between identity and reality. But safety doesn't come from control. It doesn't come from managing your manifestations like checklists. It doesn't come from overanalyzing your blocks or micromanaging the timeline. It comes from letting the body know, through breath, through presence, through stillness, that it no longer needs to brace for disappointment. This is where the real shift begins. Not when the partner shows up, but when your body no longer fears abandonment. Not when the money lands, but when you stop tying your worth to external proof. Not when clarity arrives, but when you stop outsourcing your knowing to signs and synchronicities and start anchoring it in your own frequency. Because when you become safe in your being, you become magnetic in your field. That magnetism doesn't look loud. It doesn't look performative. It looks like quiet certainty. Like the way a tree doesn't rush to bloom but still calls in the sun. Like the way a flower doesn't hustle to be chosen but still draws bees from miles away. Like the way a song doesn't shout to be heard. It simply resonates, and resonance finds its way. This is the art of embodiment, to become so coherently yourself, so settled in your essence, that reality bends toward your frequency without you needing to push. Not more doing, more remembering. Not with control, but with coherence. So how do we shift from performance to presence, from force to frequency? We begin by feeling the body again, by letting the exhale be enough, by noticing where tension lives and asking it what it's trying to protect. We begin by holding the parts of us that are still gripping, not shaming them, not bypassing them, but letting them soften in the presence of our love. Because the truth is, you were never meant to manifest from fear. You were meant to manifest from your fullness. And fullness doesn't require fixing, it requires feeling. So pause, breathe, feel into the version of you who already knows, already is, already has. The version of you who is not trying to become, but simply allowing herself to become visible again, beneath all the layers of needing to prove. This version is not far. She's just waiting for you to stop running from the silence. Because in the silence, she speaks. And when she speaks, reality listens. I remember the moment I stopped trying. Not in defeat, in surrender. There was no big cosmic sign, no flash of realization, just a quiet exhaustion in my bones, a tiredness of pretending, a weariness of waiting for the outside to grant me permission to feel whole. I sank into the silence, and for the first time in a long time I didn't ask the silence for answers. I just let it hold me. And in that stillness, something softened. My chest released. My breath deepened. My body, which had been wired to anticipate disappointment, began to uncoil. And in that moment I wasn't visualizing, I wasn't manifesting, I wasn't aligning. I was just being. And yet, that's when the field moved. Not because I earned it, but because I stopped interrupting it. You see, life isn't waiting for your effort. It's waiting for your coherence. Your presence is the permission slip, not to make things happen, but to let them happen through you. When you're in survival, you think everything is up to you. But when you're in embodiment, you remember, you are not separate from the unfolding. You are the unfolding. We spend so much time trying to micromanage the timeline, worried we'll miss it, lose it, mess it up. But the quantum doesn't operate on linear logic. It moves with frequency, not force. And frequency is immediate. When you shift internally, reality doesn't need time. It needs permission. Permission to collapse old timelines the moment they no longer match your state. Permission to deliver things faster than your mind thinks is reasonable, because coherence doesn't play by rules, it plays by resonance. Permission to bypass struggle, not because you avoided the lesson, but because you embodied the truth so fully that the lesson dissolved. But most of us keep that permission on hold. We delay our peace until the proof arrives. We delay our embodiment until the outcome feels guaranteed. We delay our joy until we can justify it. And in doing so, we distort the signal. We confuse the field. We become split. Part of us trusting, part of us doubting, part of us aligned, part of us performing. And the field can only meet coherence. It cannot organize around contradiction. So ask yourself, where am I still living in contradiction? Where do I say I believe while my body braces for disappointment? Where do I visualize the outcome while still vibrating the fear of its absence? Where am I still waiting to feel like enough after the thing arrives? This is the moment to unify, to bring your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your breath into the same frequency, not as a technique, as a truth. Because when you embody who you truly are, not the version you perform, but the version you remember in the quiet, you become unmissable to your manifestations. The field has no choice but to respond, not because you controlled it, but because you became clear. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped pretending. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. And coherence is the match. Embodiment is the bridge. Safety is the signal. So breathe, not to relax, but to return. Return to the place where nothing was missing. Not the moment the desire arrives. The moment you remember it was always encoded in you. You've probably felt it before. That strange flicker of magic when you stop obsessing and suddenly it arrives. The moment you stop checking your phone, the message comes. The second you stop forcing the answer, clarity drops in. The day you finally let go of needing the outcome, something unexpected and beautiful finds you. That's not coincidence, that's coherence. It's not the universe playing games with your emotions. It's you finally aligning with your natural rhythm, the one that was distorted by pressure, by urgency, by gripping. Because pressure creates noise, urgency creates static. Gripping scrambles the signal, but presence tunes you back in. When you are deeply present, the field can finally recognize you, not the mask, not the mental projections, you, the one beneath the proving, the one who doesn't need to impress reality to be worthy of its gifts. So many people ask, how do I embody abundance if I don't feel abundant? But embodiment isn't pretending to feel something you don't. It's choosing to create safety in your body before the external matches it. It's choosing stillness when your mind demands urgency, choosing trust when your ego wants control, choosing openness when your past trained you to protect. And when you choose these states again and again, not as performance but as practice, you begin to reprogram the field. You begin to emit a new baseline of frequency, not a spike of vibration you visit once a week, but a sustained signal you live inside. That's when the shift becomes permanent. That's when identity begins to rewire itself. Because reality doesn't just mirror your emotions, it mirrors your identity. Not what you think you are, not what you hope to be, but who you've decided to embody moment by moment, breath by breath. If your identity is I'm always behind, the field responds with more delay. If your identity is it's hard to receive, reality confirms the block. If your identity is things always work for me in ways I can't predict, the quantum bends to surprise you, but that identity must be felt, not forced. It must be integrated into your nervous system, not shouted from your affirmations. It must be lived, in the way you speak to yourself when no one's listening, in the way you carry your energy through the spaces between your actions. You don't become magnetic when you perform confidence. You become magnetic when your system no longer leaks fear. And that kind of embodiment isn't a switch. It's a softening, a surrender, a remembering. Remembering that you are not here to chase wholeness. You are here to reveal it. That you are not lacking anything, only temporarily tuned to the frequency of lack. That you are not waiting for life to say yes. Life is waiting for you to resonate yes with your whole being. So ask yourself, what frequency are you stabilizing in this moment? Is it rooted in trust or in tension, in presence or in performance, in being or in becoming? Because reality doesn't follow your effort, it follows your embodiment. And the more you become who you truly are, without filter, without grasping, without apology, the more life organizes itself around you, as if nothing was ever missing, because nothing ever was. There's a sacred power in becoming unshakable, not because nothing touches you, but because nothing defines you. When you embody who you truly are, the winds may come, but they don't move your route. Circumstances shift, but your frequency stays coherent. You no longer chase certainty in the external, because you've built it inside your being. This doesn't mean bypassing pain, it means feeling everything without becoming it. Letting the waves move through you without being swept away. Knowing that emotion is energy, not identity. That discomfort is information, not a diagnosis. Embodiment doesn't ask you to fake joy when your heart is breaking. It asks you to stay present to the heartbreak without leaving yourself. To breathe through the ache instead of abandoning it. To hold the trembling parts of you as the field recalibrates around your truth. And it will recalibrate. Because the quantum cannot ignore coherence. It is magnetically drawn to it. You see, most of the delay in manifestation isn't resistance in the universe, it's resistance in you, the part of you that's still negotiating your worth, the part that says, I trust, while secretly scanning for proof, the part that says, I receive, while secretly preparing to be disappointed again. But when you meet those parts, not with shame, but with safety, something begins to shift. The nervous system, once conditioned to brace for impact, starts to open. The body, once armored in performance, starts to soften, and as the internal war dissolves, the external flow begins. Because coherence is not perfection, it's integration. It's not about always being in high vibration, it's about being whole, being honest, being undivided within yourself. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, even if what you're aligning with is grief or uncertainty or tenderness, you are still coherent, and coherence is magnetic. Think of a tuning fork. It doesn't scream to be heard. It vibrates clearly, and everything around it either attunes or falls away. That's what you become when you embody your truth. Not loud, not performative, just clear. And in that clarity, the unnecessary falls away. The timelines that no longer match dissolve. The people who don't resonate drift. The struggle stops making sense. And what's left is you. The version of you that was buried under layers of trying. This version doesn't beg for love. She radiates it. She doesn't hustle for visibility. She embodies presence. She doesn't grip timelines. She collapses them. Because when she walks into a room or into a moment, reality pays attention. Not because she's forcing it to, but because she is unmistakably herself. This is the quiet revolution, the energetic rebellion, to become so fully, so faithfully yourself that lack becomes irrelevant. That chasing becomes obsolete, that waiting becomes a thing of the past. And it all begins here, with the breath you take now, with the way you choose to hold yourself when nothing has yet changed, with the softness you offer your nervous system before the outcome arrives. That is the moment you begin collapsing timelines. Not with words, with being. So pause, listen, feel into your own frequency. Ask it, what have I been pretending not to know? And then let the answer rise. The field is listening. But more importantly, you are. There is a profound silence that emerges when you stop negotiating your worth. A stillness that is not emptiness, but fullness. Not the absence of desire, but the presence of self. It's the moment you realize, I don't need to become anything. I only need to return. Return to the place where desire is not a grasping, but a remembering. Return to the knowing that you're not here to earn the thing. You are the thing. That silence is the womb of manifestation. Not because it is passive, but because it is receptive. It doesn't chase. It invites. It doesn't cling. It allows. It doesn't beg. It becomes. This is the energy that bends reality. Not when you push, but when you pulse. Not when you analyze every sign, but when you become the signal. Not when you explain your worth, but when you exude it without needing to convince. In this state, life no longer feels like a negotiation. It becomes a reflection. The people, the opportunities, the moments, they arrive not as rewards, but as resonances. Not as proof of your power, but as echoes of your presence. But to hold this frequency, you must stop splitting your signal. You must stop embodying coherence in the morning and collapsing into self-doubt by afternoon. You must stop auditioning for timelines that no longer fit your frequency, and you must stop outsourcing your identity to outcomes that are still in transit. Because the quantum doesn't ask, do you want this? It asks, are you this? It doesn't ask what you dream. It asks what you broadcast. And every time you abandon yourself in pursuit of alignment, you delay the very thing you seek. So instead, root into your worth, into your body, into the breath that reminds you, I am already here. Root into your essence so deeply, so unapologetically, that even in the absence of evidence, your energy feels like proof. This is what magnetizes the miracles. Not the ritual, not the vision board, the signal. And your signal sharpens every time you choose presence over pressure, stillness over scrambling, trust over tension. So ask yourself now, with gentleness, not judgment, where am I still looking outward to confirm what I already know inward? Where am I still shrinking to be chosen, still dimming to be accepted, still editing to be safe? And what would it feel like to stop, to no longer bend your light to fit into shadows, to no longer defer your joy until the conditions change, to no longer silence your frequency because the world isn't used to its clarity? That feeling you just touched, that is the signal. And when you broadcast it long enough, boldly enough, gently enough, reality cannot ignore you. Because you are no longer becoming magnetic, you are magnetism itself. So here we are, not at the end, but at the point of return. The return to self, the return to signal, the return to the knowing that was never truly lost, only buried beneath the noise of effort, the tension of trying, the ache of waiting. And maybe you're realizing now, you were never lacking the thing. You were lacking the version of you who could receive it, because receiving is not something you earn, it's something you allow, and you only allow when you feel safe. Not just safe in the world, safe in yourself, safe to be seen, safe to soften, safe to stop performing long enough for your true frequency to rise. This is why embodiment is not a step in the process, it is the process. Every moment you choose to come home to your body, your breath, your truth, you realign. You shift the timeline. You collapse the distance between who you've been pretending to be and who you've always been. No more waiting, no more watching, no more whispering your worth like it needs permission to be heard. You are not a delayed miracle. You are a distorted signal returning to clarity. And the moment your signal becomes clear, reality recalibrates. Suddenly, the thing you've been calling in doesn't feel far. It feels familiar, not because it finally arrived, but because you finally remembered the version of you who matched it. The one who doesn't need the thing to feel whole, and thus becomes the one most ready to receive it. So now the question is not, when will it come? The question is, can I stabilize this signal long enough for life to meet me here? Not just in the high moments, but in the quiet, the uncertain, the in-between. Because this is where reality changes, not in the result, but in the remembering. The remembering that your body is a beacon, your breath is a broadcast, your coherence is the collapse of separation, and nothing is missing when you stop pretending you are. So today, let your embodiment speak louder than your effort. Let your alignment replace your urgency. Let your being become the prayer. You don't need to chase what's already seeking you. You don't need to fix what was never broken. You don't need to manage your reality. You just need to match it. And when you do, when you become the full frequency of who you truly are, you won't just manifest the life you desire. You'll remember that you already are it, not someday, now, and the field will know exactly what to do.